Hey folks, and welcome back to the Leeds Gamer. It's match review time. It's ended Leeds United 1, Everton 1 at the old Dickinson Stadium. I'm a bit deflated with that one. I think Leeds could have won that game. We're going to look into the stats of everything. Let's just see what it's done to the table for starters, because that does mean that every team in the Premier League has played 23 games now. So that draw means that Leeds stay in 16th place with 6 wins, 8 draws, 9 losses, 31 goals scored, 38 conceded, a minus 7 goal difference, 26 points on the board, with the last 5 looking draw, draw, loss, win, draw. And the next opponent being Arsenal. That's not the opponent I wanted Leeds to have right now, to be honest, in terms of who's next coming up, but got to play everyone twice at some point. So, with all that in mind, let's have a look at the match itself. This has been recorded literally as the match has just finished. It only finished a few minutes ago. So, I mean, the round 23 results are there on the right hand side. I mean, if we have a quick look at those, West Ham beating Sunderland doesn't help Leeds at all. Burnley drawing with Tottenham. It kind of stops Burnley from being kind of further away from survival, whilst it kind of brings Tottenham into the relegation mix, but not massively. Fulham and Brighton, it didn't really matter, I don't think. Man City Wolves, I mean, Wolves are still pretty doomed, aren't they, overall, so that didn't really matter. Bournemouth beating Liverpool doesn't really help Leeds either, because Bournemouth, again, weren't in a great vein of form and they were starting to get dragged down a little bit. Forest beating Brentford's a bad result as well, because again, Forest were below Leeds. Chelsea beating Palace kind of helps a little, because Palace aren't in good form at the moment. Villa beating Newcastle's kind of irrelevant. I think Newcastle are probably not in a relegation problem at the moment. Scum beating Arsenal, a little bit of a shocker, but even back in the Wenger days, Arsenal struggled against Manu, so there we go, really. And then a draw with Leeds, which I don't know. So, with all that in mind, yeah, it's not been a good round for Leeds in terms of the opposing results. But again, you can only focus on your own results rather than results elsewhere. So let's have a look at what the two lineups were in the end. Starting with Leeds, Darlow kept his place. That was understandable. They've got Bornau and Rodon in the wrong positions. Bornau was right centre back, Rodon central centre back, with Struijk at left centre back. James Justin filled in for Gabby Goodmanson. Gruev was starting again alongside Ampadu, with Bogle on the right. Stack and Aronson in there as well, with DCL up front. Everton started with Barry up front, McNeil, Armstrong and Ndiaye, Gay and Garner just behind, and then Patterson, Tarkowski, O'Brien and Mikolenko with Pickford in goal. In terms of substitutions, Tanaka came on 66, and then a bit later on Buonanotte, Longstaff and Okafor. For Everton, Branthwaite, Dewsbury, Dibbling and Beto all came on at different parts of the match there. The players that did not come on, Perrier, the goalkeeper for Leeds, Byram, Pirro, Mecha and Nonto didn't feature. For Everton, Travers the goalkeeper, Asnu, Coleman, Alcaraz and Rowe. players that were unavailable: Gudmundsson, Beal, and James for Leeds. For Everton, it was Keane, Uwag, Bunham, and Grealish. Yeah, I'm really deflated with that. We were very, very good in that first half, and again, like what has happened on a few occasions this season, Leeds just didn't take enough of their first half chances. If we have a look at the stats, Everton had a lot of possession, especially second half. First half, Leeds had a bit more possession, but second half was heavily in Everton's favour. We didn't do enough second half. Absolutely didn't do enough. But we, aside from possession, we outplayed them in a lot of areas, according to this. But again, it's reckoning that two of Leeds' big chances were missed, and if you miss your big chances, I mean, what are you going to do? Expected goals, beat them on every aspect there. Shots, beat them in most aspects. Both teams hit the woodwork. Defensively, Leeds actually won most of that as well, ironically, which, when you think that we've had most of the offence, we've also had most of the defence. So it's a bit of a weird thing. But I guess that's what you get with the tale of two halves. Which basically means that Everton got most of the midfield battle, which I guess kind of makes sense if you compare it to the offence and defensive statistics there. Everton were a bit better on the dual side of things. Discipline, I mean, one of those, the sack yellow card was deserved. He had a late challenge. I don't think the other two were yellows by any stretch of the imagination, quite frankly. Yeah, I don't usually do a review straight after a match if I feel a bit deflated, but that's on me, I guess. I mean, again, if this will be interesting because I think first half, Leeds even had more possession in that first half, and dominated the majority of what was going on there. And again, everything there, everything there, everything there, even most of it there as well. That first half was all about Leeds. Only the dual side of things was in Everton's favour. But then I bet you there's going to be a lot more blue this time. Yeah. And that's so you could argue that a draw is a fair result for both teams, but it's a real kick in the knackers when you take the lead and then you concede to get a draw. If you equalise to get a draw, it feels more positive, doesn't it? It feels more like a win in a way, or at least a more positive draw because you've gained a point when it looked like you were going to get nothing. Whereas in Leeds' case, it feels more like 2 points dropped than 1 point gained to a certain extent. So, oh god, I don't usually feel this deflated with a draw. I don't know. I mean, this is showing the away form. So Leeds have added another point to their away record there. It should have been 2 there and 3 there, really. But again, if you look at Leeds' home form, we're a lot better. We're 12th at home. We're quite good at home. 5 wins, 4 draws, only 2 defeats, scoring 19, only conceding 13, plus 6 goal difference. There's a noticeable difference at home. There really is. 19 of the points have come at home. I'm going to go on the away. See, away, it's only 7 points away. You know, we've conceded quite a few. I mean, if there's one caveat about that match against Arsenal, it is at Ellen Road, so we might give them more of a game. Hopefully we're going to be a little bit more on it. We're going to need to be, because we don't want to start getting dragged into the mix. If we look at the form of the last 5, you know, again, 1 win, 3 draws, 1 loss, 6 scored, 6 conceded, 6 points, 6-6-6. That's scary enough, isn't it? If any of you are superstitious. Yeah, there's not a lot to say. Leeds were very good first half. You know, if we're just talking about eye test, so forgetting the stats, if we're talking about the eye test, Leeds were pretty good. Aronson looked sharp again. DCL was winning a lot of his stuff. Bornau was having a good game. Justin was doing all right. There wasn't really a bad player in that first half. We looked decent. We were more than matching Everton, and then second half, something just changed and we didn't adapt quick enough. Now, do you put some of that down to Daniel Farke? Did Daniel Farke not react quick enough to the changes that Everton made? You know, there was one point where, you know, Leeds were crying out to make changes, and the camera focused on Farke, and all he was doing was just watching the little monitor. He was just sat there thinking of what to do. He needed to have known what to do by that point. And, you know, once Everton got the equaliser, it felt quite uneasy, because Leeds didn't have a lot of that second half. We had plenty of the first half. That was a really decent away first half performance. And second half was just polar opposite to us to an extent. I mean, you know, it's still a point gained, whichever way you look at it. You know, if you start the match with nothing and you come away with a point. We didn't lose the match. And as everyone always says, if you can't win the match, make sure you don't lose. Well, we didn't lose. But you know, should we have won? Maybe. Could we have won? Definitely. So, it's a difficult one to analyse. I can't be overly critical, because again we've taken an established Premier League team, a team that has never been relegated from the Premier League. They've been an ever present. They've never been relegated to the Championship since the Premier League were formed. You could argue that Everton have been really up and down over the seasons. You know, sometimes we're in Europe, sometimes we're in a relegation battle. But the fact remains they are extremely established in this division. And we've only just come up, and we've given them a game at their shiny new toy. So yeah, you can't fault the effort. Again, the effort's there. You can tell they're working hard. They're trying. You just want that little bit of extra quality. I felt this was crying out for Metcha to come on at some point. And that didn't happen. You know, I'm not a qualified coach or a manager. I'm just a very devoted Leeds United fan. But I just think that game was there for the taking. You know, on face value. When if you watch the game in full, yes, Everton had a lot of that second half. But if Leeds had just gotten a second goal, we hit the post. You know, DCL had his opportunities. I just think we could have won that one. But we've got to move on. You know, the Arsenal match is almost a free hit, but it is at home. So maybe if we can get Gudmundsson back, if we can get Beal back, get James back, you know, it'll be a massive positive. But let's see what happens. I'll leave it there, folks. Big thank you for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Do please hit the thumbs up, like, and hype the video as well if it will allow. Really appreciate the support. Take it easy, folks. See you next time. Bye for now.